Picture this. Your Sonic team, struggling to figure out what to make next for the blue blur because you keep having your talented people either leave or get transferred over to something else. What do? Well, fuck it. Why not do something completely different with the exact same staff as the game that didn't really do that well? You could say, what could go wrong? But what if something went right? What if they wanted it to be better? That's a question to really ask yourself when dealing with Sonic Frontiers. You'd think this is a game where Sonic Team didn't fuck up, or maybe they did, and maybe I keep being vague because I want you to watch the video. But Sonic Frontiers was an interesting game when it was shown off. We, and by we I mean myself and my friends, not you and your smelly friends, unless we are friends, in which case it's myself and all of my friends, excluding you, didn't know what to think of it. It's open world? Didn't some garbage Sonic fan games come out like that? Well, what if they were given a budget and not made by some idiot that thinks Sonic is exclusively about momentum physics? So what can we say about Sonic Frontiers? Was it Sonic Frontiers? Could I drag this out any longer? Well, I could also just play it and find out. Let's just do that instead, okay? Okay. The game starts with a Vor episode, with Eggman placing a funny controller on something and getting sucked into cyberspace, which was founded by an ancient race of people called the Ancients. Right. Sonic, Tails, and Female end up on the Starfall Islands, where Tails detected the Chaos Emeralds being summoned there all at once. However, not content with voring Eggman, the island vores them too. Sonic immediately ends up in cyberspace, which is a very familiar-looking stage to Sonic fans upon playing. Oh, sorry, seems I have it set to the Switch graphics. This is how it should be looking. Here you get a taste of what Sonic Frontiers has to offer. Platforming challenges, short stages, and unique changes to the Sonic formula. I'd rather discuss these after beating the stage though, since that is where one of them is. Beating the stage throws the blue boy back out of cyberspace, with a mysterious voice telling him he's the key. There is also a small child following him around. That's it, I'm not making any other jokes, that's it. Sonic is transported to a very not Sonic-looking world. Very realistic looking, with a drab, rainy environment, extremely calm atmosphere, and a very toned-down soundtrack. You'll also notice that he doesn't move too fast without boosting. This game kinda controls like a previous entry in the series, Lost World. However, Sonic defaulted to a walk in that game, then a run button, then a spin button to move even faster, because moving fast should be complex and annoying in a fucking Sonic game. They made it so that you can change his speed to whatever you want in the options, but just crank it up. Fuck it, whatever, just make him run. He's Sonic, it's okay, you'll be alright, trust me. So you may be saying to yourself, this atmosphere, these controls, this world, it's so weird and different, and honestly, playing this for the first time, I was very, very intrigued, because I didn't know what to expect coming out here. But seeing Sonic Team do something insanely different with this blue guy was actually really neat. But there's some more changes to talk about than just this. As you run around just looking for stuff and collecting rings which act as Sonic's health bar that he loses almost all of them when he gets hit. Yeah, have you ever heard that? Did you know that Sonic does that? Well, too fucking bad, I explained it anyway, huh? Eventually, you'll run into these missions, and when you do them, they're like a little mini-game of sorts, and usually they're pretty small, time-wasting stuff that isn't amazing, but not too bad, honestly. Like they're at least inoffensive. When you clear them, you get a little map that updates and shows you where the tokens, other missions, Sneeds, Feed and Seeds, and Guardian fights are, even telling you the name of the island, Kronos Island. These challenges are pretty easy, but even so, they tend to average out to just fun distractions. I'll show some more later because this game's tutorial really does plop you in to see what's up. So as you get further along, you start to encounter enemies, and Sonic can do a simple homing attack to defeat them, and he even doesn't need to jump to do it. That's been a thing with the Sonic games, he had to jump and then do it, but now he can just do it on instinct, which is kinda cool. The enemy designs are also very odd and very alien and freaky. Like, if you look at them, they have eyes on their shoulders and shit. Like, that's cool. It's not very helpful, but I think that's really cool nonetheless. As you run around some more, you eventually come into this guy.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
You'd think whatever, just a homing attack and that's it. Yeah, no fucking way. Sonic starts punching the fuck out of it. So the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise hasn't really been known for a deep combat system, but right here you get a taste of it just by mashing the homing attack button, and you can dodge. See, I don't give a shit if a Sonic game has combat in it, just so long as it's as fast and stylish as Sonic himself. Well, it does, just wait a bit for that, trust me. Anyway, you beat Ninja. Yeah, you do. Just when I thought the combat was too simple, I unlocked a skill, and saw that there's a skill tree. The first thing you get is called a Psy-loop. Sonic can hold a button down and loop around something, and something happens. It's a very simple tool, but as the game goes on, its utility stays the same, and it's used on so many enemies, bosses, and puzzles. You will not forget how it works. If you do, you're a fucking idiot. It's actually used that fucking much. Anyway, solve a puzzle, open the door, then you get yelled at to go back into cyberspace, but, oops, you don't have enough gears to do that. And you know what you get rewarded with? A giant penis! Actually, I'm gonna spoil something with this game right now. While most of the Guardian fights are unique, every island has some kind of ninja or tower variant on it, with the exception of the second. I don't think it's lazy with the ninja variants, because they all have some kind of unique gimmick or attack pattern, but towers are all basically the same. Climb up, hit their head. Yeah, there's technically more to them too, but it involves some variation of shooting and stomping, so... yeah. Oh yeah, I mentioned climbing. Not yet. We're not talking about that yet, no. So, once you get rid of your mom's dildo, you get another gear and enter cyberspace with it, leading you to level 1-2, which looks a lot like Sky Sanctuary. How odd. Hey, that level design is also the exact same as
Windmill Isle Act 2 from Sonic Unleashed.
That's odd. Also, getting an S rank here is a bit tough. I mean, well, I kinda hope the rest of the game is like... It's not even close. S ranks are very, very easy to get. Anyway, on completion, you get keys from completing challenges in cyberspace. These include S ranks, collecting 5 red rings hidden in the stage, collecting the amount of rings needed, and just outright beating it. You get a key each mission, and 3 bonus ones if you get all of them done. So if you get 2 perfect stages, you unlock 3 Chaos Emeralds. Well, shit, man, alright. Oh, and then you get a bridge. And you climb up it. What do you see? Poppin' grass! Yeah, so fun fact about this game. They developed it for the Switch first and made the other versions later. So while on the underpowered tablet it's okay to have this kind of poppin', on things that have power like a PC, it looks shitty. It's also why boosting is a button and not an analog input. Would have loved to have analog boosting to slow down a little bit when I wanted, but I would also like to see the level not fucking pop in front of me. This is the biggest issue in the game, I'd say, regarding performance. Like, okay, yeah, the game runs fine, but holy shit, the amount of times things just pop in front of you? What an obnoxious way to go about it, too. There could at least be like a fade or something, but it would just be better if on other consoles and PC, they let you just set it yourself. And yes, I looked. There's nothing there. Oh well. Regardless, at the peak you get a Chaos Emerald 2 and get to explore. You see a massive overworld in front of Sonic with grassy fields, mountainous cliffsides, ancient ruins, and abandoned mansions. Oh, actually, sorry, that's my game. I want to preface this with a dream I've always had. I've always wanted to play an open world game where running really fast is the main way to move around. Now granted, you could do that in Morrowind by just doing a bunch of stupid potion stacking stuff and fortifying your speed to like 2,000, but that's not how the game was like intended to be played. The same thing I've done, I've also put mods into Skyrim just so I had like a ring of running really fast, so like I could just physically run over there as opposed to using fast travel. Now, I have a game where I can do that. And I gotta say, running really fast from point A to point B in this game, splendid. It just feels very good to run. I have such a ball just going around and exploring and... save your friends? Screw that! I'm having a ball just going around, finding missions to do, finding new areas, fighting enemies that go well with the new skills you unlocked. I don't want to do that just yet. And you don't have to. So one of the things I really like about this game does happen... Ashura was an insane find. These fellas aren't the waterfall glitch from Sonic 2, but they're pretty sick still. You climb up their arms and smack their arms off. Oh no! I fell off! Ha ha! Psych! Using the parry ability freezes yourself in midair, so if you wanted to, you can negate your toss and boost back on and not have to bother climbing up the other arms. I don't care if this tech is intentional or not, it's sick as fuck, and I love it. After the amputations are complete, you get a silly little dancing explosion with a gear or some other equivalent award. Anyway, when you run around trying to find missions to complete, they vary in what they are. I can say that at least. There's tile following, puzzles, races, slam jams, dodging on the right panels, the works, really. Honestly, there's not too much going on in them if we're talking huge engagement, but they're really just simple enough that when you run into them, you're like, may as well get them done. So you get them done, and then you don't really lose time, and you get to see more of the map, and honestly, it's kind of wild, but they are pretty decent for that reason. What is really nice, though, is getting the rails that generate from completing the missions. It's sort of an eyesore, but these act as the fast travel system for the game before you unlock the actual fast travel. There's usually fun little routes to them, and they're quite convenient both from a progression standpoint and a view standpoint. It's very easy to see what's ahead of you. Well, besides the pop-in, and you can even jump off these rails and get some sick air and speed, or hitting something that just popped in front of you. And though I wish there was a way to make them less of an eyesore, I do like their existence from a gameplay standpoint. So one of the weird things— Holy shit! Okay, so Squid comes out of nowhere and scares the shit out of you. Speaking of shitting, a trail is being shitted out of it, so you can run up to it and get it. You may notice that sometimes you just can't catch up to the squid as you chase it. That is because it's above unsafe ground. It doesn't want you to fall into a pit and die if you beat it. So they move on a set path through the level and push Sonic back. Some people would call this very good game design, but I would call it basic game design, because what fucking moron would think it would be okay to beat it over a bottomless pit and you die? Well, you know, honestly, knowing how video games kind of are now, I guess there are some fucking morons like that out there. Anyway, you hit the squid, attack it, you can parry it. Very fun. It's a very fun fight, and it makes me happy. So, continuing. You know, I should probably start actually helping Sonic's friends. It's amazing just how much you can do before actually saving their asses, like completing the entire map. It's pretty fucking good, I like that. Anyway, the first one you rescue is Amy, and she's like, "Oh, Sonic, thank you so much!" And Sonic's like, "Yeah, you get a sick finisher move, though." As you run, Sonic encounters a big fella being controlled by a small child. The same one that was stalking Sonic. Now, I know this is a very promising political joke in the making, but, I'll just leave it at that. Sonic tries to just attack this thing normally, and, Sonic gets his ass whooped. It's fucking great. Waking up, Sonic says, "Well, time for me to get the Chaos Emeralds," and, yeah, he does that. As you help out Amy, you find these little buggers called Cocos that you can collect. As you do that, you reunite a mother and child in a minigame where they shit bombs at you. Hey, like, what the fuck? I'm trying to help you. And then when they reunite, they die. Yep. You also reunite the lovers, and suddenly you go back to the past. Not to play the shitty games that suck ass, but you get to see their original form, and they look a hell of a lot like Chaos from Sonic Adventure. Then they die too. Amy is resting in a field getting owned for not having a corporeal form like us cool mortals. But her and Sonic have a heart-to-heart because, you know, that's a little traumatizing, and then you can play the game again. Unlocking the last mission where you need to part the waterfall and then face that last Titan. However, you may notice that you might be feeling a little weak before doing that. So, how do you get a little bit stronger? Well, Sonic does have a variety of stats in the bottom left corner if you've noticed. So you collect those Cocos and shit, right? Well, if you find an Elder Coco, he can upgrade you. But it takes a while. Elder Coco upgrades your ring and speed capacity, but he does it one at a time. Yeah, this is fucking fun. I don't know why there isn't some kind of token system that you can trade the Cocos for and spend them as you please for your upgrades. That would make sense. I wonder if they did something like that. Oh, right. Speaking of, you can get red seeds of power and blue seeds of defense. These seeds upgrade Sonic's power and defense. I don't know why I said that. It's literally in their names what they upgrade. You find the Hermit Coco to do this. And what does he do? Just upgrades you and that's it. Just, oh, you got enough? Boom, there you go. No idea why the Elder Coco isn't like that, but hey, token idea, Sega. If you want to patch this game, or modders, maybe someone already fixed it, but I'm not looking. Someone else had to be sick of this shit besides me, right? Somebody else had to realize that this is fucking stupid, right? Whatever. You get all your shit upgraded. And by the way, I don't upgrade my rings for a while. I'll tell you about that later. So, a hop, skip, and a jump later, Sonic is up to fighting Giganto. So Sonic doesn't have the last emerald that I got from the story, so where is it? It's on Giganto's head. So you climb up like Shadow the Colossus, doing it in 10 seconds instead of 10 hours, and the game runs at a good frame rate. Sonic goes super, and the fight begins. Big Soups here is invincible, but rings go down as you fight. So when you run out, you just start the fight over, basically. Well, Giganto is an interesting take because most Sonic games have Sonic go super at the end. But they decided to make it so that all the Titans have him go super. It's really fun too, just flying around and smacking it, parrying it at the right time to get a sick animation for it. One dope thing about this fight though is its music. You get to hear a lyrical track that dynamically changes depending on the phase of the fight, and it's really neat to hear it subtly cue to the next part of the song. Of that, Giganto has multiple phases, with the second phase being it shooting a shitload of lasers out everywhere. What sucks is that these fuck with the parry a lot, and it's a little bit more annoying to dodge him. But man, it is still a very nice and satisfying and very, very hyped fight. Huh, there's a lot of button mashing in this fight. I wonder if there's disability options for it. Oh. No, there isn't. Boom, bam, baby. You get a cutscene showing those ancients talking about something, and Sonic's like, huh, whoa, 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 what was that? But then he talks to Amy, who hasn't been taken out of cyberspace. So Sonic's like, well, I guess I gotta beat them all, and then flies to the next island to try and get the next Titan to free her. He immediately gets shot out of the sky and loses all the emeralds. Yeah, you know what, Sonic, I get you. Hey, at least you tried, You didn't know. Ah, the desert. Yup. The desert. It's probably like 100 degrees here. That's about 38 for you POCs. That's people of Celsius. I was worried here at first. You get here and there's a ton of sand dunes, and I'm just like, I really, really hope that's not all that's here. And sure as hell, it's not. Ares Island features not just Sahara Desert influence, but American desert, oases, metal platforming areas, even crazy coastal cliffside areas like Morocco has. So thank goodness, there's a good chunk of variety in this area. Running around and doing all the missions once again is pretty sick here too. Tons of neat places to run around and lots of platforming challenges, and easy to find areas for medals to save Knuckles. Which we'll do later. Also, Knuckles? Yeah, he wasn't on the plane, was he? Yeah, I wonder how he got here. There's also a whole new slew of enemies that use unique gimmicks on that aren't as annoying. Except this one taking away my camera and always having the same pattern. Could use some work. But the rest here are fun, and I love stomping on these spring guys. It's just like, ooh, does that feel good? And it does. Honestly, it's probably a little better than Kronos Island. It's really good to explore this one and just find all the hidden things in it. Even a hidden underground passageway that's unlocked from the start. Why am I specifying that? Well, you'll see. So it's been a while since I mentioned the combat, and I just want you to know that, yeah, it starts out simple, but as soon as you get the Phantom Rush, which kind of acts as like a devil trigger, it starts to go hard. You can unlock a ton of shit like the Sonic Boom Kick, which absolutely fucks. I love this. It's one of the coolest things Sonic has done in general. Just kicking air slashes. Like, dude, that's sick. You can also unlock tricks, and you say, "What? Tricks? What does that have to do with combat?" Well, when you unlock them, Sonic can do tricks on certain places, and that's pretty sick. But what's really cool about this is that it's actually how you can grind experience points. So just imagine doing sick fucking tricks is how you level up in this game, or at least get the little skill counter to go up. And that's really cool. That's a really Sonic idea too. That's just cool. I've also noticed that a lot of these moves can just be canceled with Sonic dodging too when fighting, which can lead to some cool escape options if you want to run away or just infinite bullshit like this, which is also very fun. So when you're going around and eventually you'll come across Shark is something that looks sick but doesn't really pan out otherwise. See, it's a fun little adrenaline rush, hanging on, trying to abide by where its tail swings, and after doing that section, you smack it, and you absolutely wail on it, but if you don't kill it, you have to do that all again, and it's honestly not very fun after that. What happens is the next section is about to get as long as the last, and instead of introducing new ideas immediately, it makes you do the same stuff again first. And then the new stuff is just the same as me dodging homeless people in the street. It's sadly a fight I think could be a lot better if they truncated all the chasing phases of the fight. Well, anyway, even then when you're thinking about all of these decisions, nothing is as important. Ah, Strider. What can you say about Strider? Well, you ride up some rings and when you encircle them, something happens. Strider throws these at you to make sure you learn how they work, and then you repeat the process on its three main rails. Once done, its core is open, and it's smacking time. At phase 2, though, there's fireballs that come out and you have to start dodging them. I wouldn't mind these so much if there was a good way to change directions when grinding, but there isn't, and you have to do an awkward jump to move around. Striders are also extremely big, and I'm upset that a lot of that verticality wasn't used. Sonic could have, of course, climbed up it like, Strider. Like Strider. It's okay. Well, actually, it's not. Boo! Missed potential! Boo! But, I don't mind these guys. So there's been one really weird thing about this game, and it has to do with its collision detection. See, normally in fields and overworlds and such, it's not that bad. Sonic sticks to the ground and the physics suck. Honestly, it's embarrassing how bad the physics are, but you do have to go a bit out of your way to make it happen. Not like some other games where you randomly jump and walk on the ceiling. It still sucks cock, though. Thankfully, though, the collision detection is spot on. Way too spot on, actually. When you start getting to the Ancients' hunting grounds and run on their stone patterns on the ground, you start to see cracks. And then you start walking in between them. I don't understand why this game's collision detection is so hyper-precise. Like, even the level entrances have hyper-precise collision. You can actually see Sonic's shoes spaz out sometimes. Now, I'm no game designer. Wait, yeah, actually I am. I'd say this game needs to have a much simpler geometry collision system because it's just so unnecessary at points. I doubt this would get fixed with a patch, but it is something that I would really like to see addressed. Maybe there's a mod, but who cares? This is what people actually bought. And it's really a shame that such a simple and optimal solution wasn't done with this game. As you run around this area too, you start to notice some of the atmosphere a little more than you would on Chronos. Ares has a bit more variation in color, and because of that, the day-night cycle starts to kick in a bit harder, along with the fun orange and blue color schemes to make it look like it's popping. However, you also have the night-only missions that involve just finding a glowing thing or whatever. These are annoying, and while I understand that I can come back and do this later, there's nothing that's so night-only about these missions. You can see this stuff during the day, too. So that was just a thing to have in here because of the day-night cycle. There aren't even any day-only missions either, so why? It's a bad decision, and I'm gonna complain about it. How about that? There also is an interesting mode that happens sometimes just called the Starfall, I think. I actually don't remember what this is called. Starfalling, Star Mode. Maybe I should have written this down. Anyway, the point is, it's a mode where a bunch of shooting stars fly out of the sky, and then they hit the ground, and then when Sonic collects them, he gets a little roulette wheel. You can use this roulette wheel to get fishing coins as you just collect a bunch of them, and oh yeah, all the enemies that you've defeated also respawn. So if you ever wanted to refight any enemies, or maybe there's ones you didn't like, but ones that you did, and you wanted to fight the ones that you did like, the Guardians can come back too, and it's like, alright, sure, whatever. Anyway, that goes on for the entire night until it just becomes morning, and then it goes away. Oh, it is just called the Starfall. Alright, it's the Starfall. I got it right. You know, it's funny, I've been recording this whole time, and not a single person has probably noticed that I have... Oh, Sumo! Sumo is so cool! The variety with this fella is that you gotta hit him at the edge of the ring to shock him, and then you can beat him. But you can't have Sonic bounce at the edge of the ring and be able to hit it with even more force to push its fat ass into the shockwaves. It's an extremely fun fight with these fellas. It's so fun. But sumos are few and far between in this area, so that does make me upset that the fucking coolest one is just the least common. So anyway, but yeah, as I was saying, you know, one of the weirdest things about... Tanks are probably the second weakest ones. The ladybug creature throws itself and Sonic into a sandstorm. Sonic has to do some homing attack combos to beat it, though timing them is pretty sick, honestly. Once you get enough hits to make it unstable, then you can wail on it until it's beaten. It does have a second phase, and it just fires something off and then you do the same thing again, so it's pretty simple and short in comparison to the first phase, and the pacing of the fight isn't too bad. But you know what, actually, as I say this, I actually do like it. Yeah, I do like the tank. Tanks are pretty cool. It's just a little weird that it sends you to a brand new mode to try and fight it in. So anyway, okay, so I forgot to mention this for a bit too long. Sonic can run up walls and ceilings at low speeds, and it's pretty sick. They're all designated by a black and turquoise pattern on the walls and ceilings. Make sure you keep the boost button held down, though. If you don't, Sonic has this extremely shitty, jerky motion when climbing, and it's fucking embarrassing looking. Like they just forgot it was here and forgot to make it look good. It's cool seeing it integrated into the landscape naturally. Chronos has it, but Ares not nearly as much. It's fun seeing Sonic run on some walls and ceilings naturally, but it would be cool to see even more of that. Because it would be. Sonic should have parkour. This is a threat, Sega. Fucking refine it and keep it. Please, do not get rid of it again. Please! So after I ran around being a shitter and quite literally completed the map before rescuing Knuckles, I decided to actually rescue him. Actually, why is he here? Well, he was investigating some ruins in Angel Island, and then they accidentally turned on him and sent him here. Totally. That is totally what happened. Knuckles is actually quite sassy here, and he and Sonic have this good rivalry between them in it. However, that small child comes in to disrupt that happiness, only to find Sonic and Knuckles helping each other out despite their rivalry, which confuses her. If you can't tell what Sage is doing besides stalking them, oh yeah, that's her name by the way, Sage. She's going through that AI thing of, I was made evil, but good things are good? There's also flashbacks where they thought showing screenshots from Sonic 3 was the most sensible way to show Knuckles getting paranoid about island defense. Thank goodness, I wouldn't know what that scene was if it was some high-quality artwork instead. Knuckles also takes the role of a military commander very seriously, and it's funny watching him lead an army of Cocos around Ares Island. There's even a fun minigame where you get faster as you collect Coco soldiers for him. Anyway, Bing Bop Boop unlocks some missions, play the fucking dipshit ball game. This one's a little annoying, but it wasn't that bad. And final boss unlocked, and yeah. Oh, yeah, also Sage shows you the boss just like she did with the first one, Giganto. It's this big-ass dragon-looking fella. As you run around the map when she revealed it, though, you can see it cast a shadow wherever it goes. And that's fucking sick. I love that. It's so neat. It is just so cool. It's like right there. You can't reach it yet, but it's right there watching you. That is so cool. So anyway, time to kill it. So instead of climbing up the Weavern as if it were a tail in the ground, oh yeah, it's a Wyvern, whatever it is, Vern, you climb up a big tower and then follow it on paths it makes. While it's certainly a spectacle running around on it, I do think it drags just a smidge. The fight though? Holy shit! Parrying missiles and attacks like mad to wail on it and throwing it into the fucking mountain on the map? Yeah! That's awesome! That is so sick! The amount of spectacle in this entire fight is insane! Wyvern also flies around the entire map, and it's so sick that after you would see it cast a shadow in your cutscenes to fly up and kick its ass, almost on the same flight pattern. I love this fight. It's probably my favorite in the entire game. Unfortunately, it loses points for being called a Wyvern. Well, fuck you, whatever it is. Those have wings on their front legs, but this has no wings at all. So this boss actually sucks dick. Sorry, but that's the rule, you know? Anyway, like before, it didn't save Knuckles, much like Giganto didn't save Amy. So Sonic heads off to a new island. This time, Sonic does actually try not to get hit by the lasers, but he does get hit, and there they go again. Well, this time you land on Vardenfall, and the land is an inhospitable place. Meeting the Ashlanders, Sonic is immediately turned away due to being an Outlander. Okay, I'm done. Yeah, Chaos Island looks a lot like Vardenfall's volcanic areas in Morrowind. I think it really does excel in that look. There's tons of variety where you can go, from basalt columns to hot steamy geysers, open world test areas. Oh, wait, no, that's Draco Blood, my other game. You know, I should probably finish an area that may have made that funnier. Oh, and lava. Also, you instantly melt when you touch it, and that's pretty fucking funny. With how precise the collision detection is, you just... The enemies here aren't too crazy, but I do love the Skarmory bird that you can parry and jump on it to fly around. Slow or not, it is fun. So here's the worst fucking part about Chaos Island. Chaos Island is the only island in the entire game where you have to follow the story in order to go to the next area, as opposed to Kronos and Ares, among future islands, with an exception, so stop that fucking comment right there. This island has actual roadblocks and have to be unlocked during the story. So fine, whatever. I saved Tails at the start and got a bunch of extra wrenches for him so I can move along in peace. For some reason, in this open zone, Sonic Team thought it would be really funny to make traveling annoying between these islands. Most of the rails you get after beating missions here are not fun grinds, and almost always have some stupid fucking platforming in them. A good way to explain how they annoy me is that the rails are almost all in the sky and you have to latch on to them at mission points, and these mission areas are in really odd places. Honestly, this whole map's navigation is just a train wreck. How did they not realize players would get sick of most of this shit? I mean, I get this is the third map, and some challenges can't hurt, but holy shit, can you make something just straightforward for at least a few of them? It's amazing, there's one island where you either have to do one platforming section, use one of the birds to fly over there slowly, or you have to climb up a fucking mountain, get to the top of it, get on that rail, and then get on to the rail to actually lead to it, because it goes all the way up to that fucking mountain at the top. You can't really jump onto it from any other point because it's too high. Chaos Island is just a really obnoxious place to get through. It really is. So one of the things that happens is, hey, I already did you go away. So as you're navigating through this, after scaring you and you clean up the shit stains in your pants, Fortress comes in and just bombs the shit out of you. Speaking of shit, it then has rails coming out from behind for a fun little grind session. On the rails, that is. Smack and defeat it. Much like Squid, it hovers over the land so you don't die and get the gear. Once again, basic game design. Anyway. Oh yeah, I should probably mention how I got those extra wrenches so I could just do the story, since I've been postponing to talk about it, and it's something fun in this area. Big the Cat, The man, the myth, the legend has several different fishing spot levels as you find and explore all the islands. Going to them, he lets Sonic borrow a fishing rod and lets him go to town. Also, don't worry about Big being in cyberspace too, he just is. Good fishing spots are never shared, just discovered after all. So here you can catch a variety of fish, and I do mean a variety. Sonic catching regular freshwater fish like salmon, sure, but catching alligators, springs, and Rosetta Stones? Yeah, that's pretty good too. After you catch these, Big rewards you with tokens that you can spend at his shop. You can get Seeds of Power and Defense, the current token needed for your friend on the island, Lost Cocos, and extra lore dumps from Eggman. Those lore dumps let you find out stuff like the Ancients being related to Chaos from Sonic Adventure, and that Eggman hates it in cyberspace. Also, Big's fishing spots tokens scale with the area you're in. For instance, it costs 1 fishing coin to fish on Kronos, but 4 on Chaos Island, but you also get 4 times as many tokens for what you catch. Yet Big's prices don't change, so visiting him later in the game can give you tremendous rewards. Also, it's just nice, dude. Just nice to hang out, relax with Big, and just fish, man. It feels good. I like it here. And then I have to go back to fucking Chaos Island. So here's the actual worst fucking part about this island. So you know how these areas, you see me running around, collecting shit, grabbing shit, and taking small platforming detours. Yeah, all the islands have been like that. But Chaos Islands are garbage! Why is that? Because most of them are 2D. You may say that's not a problem, but you're wrong, and I'll tell you why. If you're on the other 2 islands, you hit a dash panel or spring leading you somewhere, and you don't want to go there, you can just leave. When dashing into a 2D section, why don't you just escape? Oh, because you fucking can't. Up and down directions are turned off, and some of these 2D sections put you in areas where you're forced to do some of them to escape. Ares Island has, like, 1. I think it's just 1. I only found, like, 1. Chaos Island has, like, 25. It's incredibly not fun to do these stupid sections without your choice, and even worse, having to do some of them before you can continue on. Like, fuck you! There's a gigantic open space behind Sonic and I can't just leave it? I have to do some weird bullshit to get out of there, or just, like, jump over a dash panel and suddenly it comes back to me? Fuck you! This stuff is a big reason Chaos Island sucks. And don't worry, 5 years from now, some fucking idiot's gonna make a video saying, Chaos Island, it's a masterpiece. Anyone that makes a shitty video saying that, though, just ignore him, make him die in apathy. Holy shit. One other thing I should also point out with the 2D sections is there are actually some that are pretty neat. Like trying to get the gray Chaos Emerald in this one is pretty cool, because it takes you to this separate little platforming section up in the sky. Like, at least that's separate and out of the way. It's not just, oh, I hit 1 dash panel and I'm in a 2D section. So those are fine, but like, some of them, especially the ones on the rails, like, I could do without them. So here's the worst fucking part about this island. This is where you start to notice the writing in this game being a bit too reference heavy. For those of you that don't know, Ian Flynn, a famed writer of both the Sonic Archie comics and the Sonic IDW comics, has had his hand involved in this game's writing. He is a huge upgrade over the previous Sonic game writers, and is very good at trying to make the world feel right and having everyone feel like they're proper characters. He also is someone that doesn't half-hate the series too, so there's actual passion to not make this sound like trash. Though once in a while he references something like, hey, remember that? There's a bonus scene you can see on Chaos Island where Tails mentions a laser cannon, and Sonic asks,
are you saying this is a beam weapon? Like on the egg carrier?
Sonic, my guy, you have seen laser cannons on many occasions. I don't really understand why you had to specify the egg carrier. Because you could have just said,
are you saying this is a beam weapon?
And there'd be nothing wrong with that. But now, it's very weird, and I really don't like it. Now, Most of the lines in this game aren't like that. Like 80% aren't. But there are times where I'm saying, what did bringing that up have to do with this? Hoping in vain someone can hear me. So really, when you do take in some of the landscape here... Oh, these guys. Oh, are they sick. You gotta make their legs like Joe Swanson and disable them. Once done, you try to attack and... Ha! Get fucked! You really thought it was gonna be that easy. You get tossed into the air and you gotta grab rings. Once you do, Sonic comes crashing down like a meteor to prevent it from doing that again. And now you can start wailing on it. And holy crap, is it fun chasing it around and just smacking it. Though you may say it's a bit of a long second phase, the phasing of this fight is really interesting, and once you're in the last phase, it's just beatdown city, which I appreciate. I can see some people complaining about the skydiving part, but it is the only Guardian in the whole game that does something like this, so it stands out quite a lot for that reason. So as I was saying, what I was trying to get at is, though this is not Joe Musashi or Hatsuma Oboro, Shinobi here introduces that maybe you should actually dodge Ninja to attack it. This fight is pretty simple and doesn't take long to realize how it works, but it feels good hitting it. Isn't that how all fights should feel? Good? Because it does. Anyway, short and sweet. Next. So yeah, as I was just trying to explain... So here's the worst fucking part about this island. You, climb up and hit its head. Yeah. Ah. Oh, right, the story. So here's the worst fucking... Okay, actually, this part isn't that bad. So Amy was upset that she couldn't do much, and Knuckles was upset that he's the last of his kind. Tails falls into being upset due to feeling like a burden. Sonic points out to him that he's fine, to which Tails claims he's been inconsistent. Yeah, you have been, actually, Tails. Sonic does give him a good pep talk, though, and he starts to cheer up. Sage, however, has been listening in and also even approaches Tails to ask if he has faith in Sonic. Tails, being a fucking idiot, says he has evidence, because having faith in something means believing in it with no evidence at all. Clearly, that's totally what it means, and not what the phrase blind faith means, Ian Flynn, you fucking hack! Alright, you're not a hack, but come on, seriously, man? I forgot to mention that as you play the game, you get cutscenes of Sage protecting Eggman in cyberspace, saying he's proud of her and loves her help. She has a moment where she sees Sonic and Tails bonding and starts to cry, with a little sappy tune playing over it. It feels a little forced, but like I said, the plot to this is, oh my gosh, AI finds out being good is good! So it was bound to hit that note eventually. Hey! Another interesting thing is Sonic's body language. As you play Chaos Island, you start to notice Sonic looks weak. As the cutscenes progress, he starts limping and holding part of his body. So the cyberspace corruption this poor guy has had is really starting to physically affect him. Sage also reveals the Night Titan, which has a 2D section. Then he just hides until you reveal him in the last section. So, the last part of Chaos Island. I was hoping it would be the world's longest 2D section to go with all the fucking 2D sections, but it was shockingly not that. It's pinball! Guess what? I hate pinball. That's right, I do. So, here's the worst fucking part about this island. The reason why I especially hate it here is because there's no tilting that you can do to save the ball. So as you grab red rings to get your score multiplier up, and then you get like 128 times score, and you're slowly crushing that 5 million you gotta reach, and then the pinball goes into a fucking hole that just happened to bounce off the 3 things preventing that perfectly. So you couldn't do anything about that, and then you just have to get the score multiplier up again, and yeah, that did infuriate me. A tilt feature would have been great, but you're only a casual if you give up, and I pressed on and completed it. Once done, you cause Red Mountain to erupt, and hey, that's both a Sonic and an Elder Scrolls reference, so, time to fight the Knight. Knight? He's pretty sick. Much like Giganto, Sonic had to climb up and get the last emerald. Once he's super, the fight is in a contained area, and you have some unique attacks from Knight, but not from its sword, but its shield. Knight throws the shield like a spinning blade, and Sonic can ride into the Knight and beat its ass with it. As you progress through the fight, the knight then starts strafing around you, launching its shield, and Sonic has to deflect it into the knight. This fight has some good spectacle, but the ending, that's where it really takes the cake. Sonic just grabbing this gigantic sword and slicing the knight in half? Yeah! Fuck yeah! So, despite Sonic stopping Knight, it seems like there's some loose ends before you can get to saving everybody. Sonic heads over to Rhea Island to disable 6 gigantic towers that have spawned after finishing off the last Titan. Right? That's the last one, right? No, it's not. Look, we're 10 hours into this game already, and this ain't all that's left to share. Also, wow, a new Sonic game that's not done in like 4 hours. Ah, Rhea Island. So after kicking Knight's ass, Sonic ends up on Rhea Island, where he has a bunch of giant towers spire out of the ground. Also, the Chaos Emeralds went to hell or whatever. I don't know where they went, just Sonic doesn't have them anymore. Sonic is told to climb up the towers to disable them and finally free his friends. So, sure. Why not? Good thing that voice has just been so nice to us and will definitely not betray our trust ever at all. Well, here's a fun thing about Rhea Island. If you look around, you may notice some things with Kronos on it. That's because it is a part of Kronos Island. Hey, do you remember when I said the Switch ruined a lot of aspects about this game? Well, one aspect was having the entire map for Kronos Island. They slashed that bad boy in half to save on some memory, and it really goes to show. For better and for worse. Actually, just worse. This sucks. This fucking sucks. This place is gorgeous to explore. Running around through extremely awesome forests with trees that look like redwoods, flowery fields, and waterfalls that barely make sense. I don't know how much of a water base there is up here, but there's no way you'd get 2 gigantic waterfalls like this naturally. Still, it's a very gorgeous area. It's just a shame that all of this was left in and just not used to its full potential. Rhea Island, despite being a breath of fresh air from that shit heap of navigation Chaos was, also is kind of just depressing with how much stuff it had here, and it wasn't lived up to. I feel a sense of woe and hurriness that absolutely tarnished the potential here. However, don't forget about the main goal here, which is climbing those 6 towers. Climbing up these towers is actually pretty fun. All of them have some interesting playing challenges, whether they involved alternative paths as rewards for observation or quick reflexes, set-piece enemies that you have to stomp out of as they move you somewhere else, or really precise stuff that if you miss, you fall, and oh boy, you get really nervous looking down. The scope of the height of these things is insane, and I did feel queasy when looking down sometimes. You ever go to the Grand Canyon and you can just feel that ass of yours just pucker the closer you get to the edge? Oh yeah. Now granted, of course, this is a fucking video game, but still, you don't want to fall down. You're just kind of like, oh, that's falling. Oh shit! So you climb up to a tower, you smack it, and then, something gets weirder with Sonic. Actually, boy, Sonic, you sure do look like shit. Yeah, as you turn off these towers, you can see Sonic's idle animation get more and more shitty looking, along with the plot showing off that the Chaos Emeralds were from the Ancients, and they brought them to Earth because of the Master Emerald. Or at least, heavily implied it. They're like, oh, there's a big fucking emerald here. It's like, gee, wonder what that one could be. Sonic has been enduring the cyber corruption he's been getting from saving his friends extremely well, but now it's really starting to take its toll on him. Even Sage pops up and is like, dude, you're fucked up. And Sonic's like, yup, oh well. It's a very cute take of Sonic's heroism to help his friends no matter what. But man, you really feel like shit playing as Sonic in this part. This adds to Rhea Island's depressing tone, and despite it being a lot better than Chaos Island and a lot shorter, you don't feel bad because you're pissed off at poor game design decisions in this one. You just feel bad because it's just depressing. So as you finally get the last tower turned off, while it freed everyone from cyberspace, it turns out Sonic got so much cyber AIDS, it somehow made him get an infinite N-word pass.
We're 100% black. Me too.
Eggman laughs his ass off, but everyone else is concerned. Oh, also, that voice that was helping us was actually the ultimate evil that was sealed in cyberspace because the ancients were like, oh, this is actually really bad, and maybe we should seal this away so it doesn't actually ruin everything ever in existence. Oops! So, Sonic's friends decide Sonic needs to live, and somehow flex off his cyber aids. I don't know how they did that. I would like to think they went to some kind of cyber Valhalla and are fighting off the corruption as he continues in the real world. At least that would be sick if true, but it's probably something much more lame. With this gigantic ultimate evil running around, Eggman decides to work with Sonic at the behest of Sage, and they get to work finding the Chaos Emeralds. Everyone is actually fairly in character in this scene, and there's some great remarks to go with it, like Eggman reluctantly making Sonic a part of the Eggman Empire to keep his ego in check.
Sonic, I hereby induct you into the Eggman Empire in order you to save us all. Understand? This is not an alliance.
You'll also notice that Sage is also getting a bit, like, whiter and stuff. Like, she's getting, like, anti-corrupted, I guess? It's a very interesting narrative switch to kind of show that even Sage is warming up to Sonic. So, here you are, the very last island of the game. I'm gonna be honest, Chaos Island was annoying. It was a very, very annoying place. But Uranus? 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 Isn't it technically Uranus? Look, whatever. Uranus. I'm gonna say it as that, because for some reason every pronunciation site I go to says it differently. I'm just gonna say Uranus, okay? Okay. What a complete change. Uranus has an extremely different tone to it. Open fields, forests, and a pretty put-together landmass to run around in. Wow, it feels so nice to travel around this. Okay, so these dog enemies aren't really that bad when you can parry and beat them up, but it's really, really weird that Sonic instantly stops and has to fight them. Can't they, like, run up to Sonic to make him decelerate naturally? It's a weird thing, but it's the only smudge on this island when it comes to traveling. Exploring through, you may encounter... Despite being named after a game I need to review, yeah, I will one day, I promise Shinobi fans I will, Kunoichi has a fun amount of attacks to it. You hit it from the front, and then it starts blocking, but then you hit it from the back, and it's ready to counter. And it's pretty engaging. Wait a minute! Kunoichi is almost Hibana colored, too. If it had, like, white instead of black, it would look just like her. Almost. Man. This just isn't my day. Now, you can eventually find this, here, Master Ninja behaves very similar to Kunoichi, but at half health, does this little song and dance where there's clones that, after they all lose their virginity to each other, come and attack you. Quite a gross sequence of events, really. I'd prefer none of that. A little more annoying to fight due to the sequence, but not that bad otherwise. Really, when it comes down to it, you can... Son of a bitch! So it's a big tower like all the others. If you run up to it, you'll, yeah, it's a fucking tower. Okay. Now, I have neglected to talk about the combat for a bit, but let's just say you get a full skill tree and unlock everything. Let's just say that. Well, I have no idea what auto combos do. I unlocked the skill, but I left it checked off. You'll have to forgive me for just hating things like that and just never using them ever for my entire eternity ever forever. So basically, they just perform some moves that are easy against certain enemies. So now I'll check them off and show you how the actual button presses work. Some dope moves include Boost and Jump's X-Cross attack. This attack is sick as fuck and can immediately build up Sonic's Phantom Rush meter. It's a lot like the air kick move, but can't be done infinitely. There's also a Boost and Stomp technique where Sonic spins in a circle and charges at the enemy and does some good damage. The instant Psyloop is cool too, and it's very helpful because you can actually stagger Guardians with it. The one I hate though is the homing shot, which is Boost and a homing attack. This attack is long, can't be cancelled, and does some damage, but not much. I'd find myself accidentally using it way too often. I would much prefer if it were some kind of extremely fast homing attack that did more damage instead of whatever this is. Also, holding jump during a combo can do a spin attack thing. See, there's one where you can also hold the homing attack button that's also a lot faster, does similar damage, and gives Sonic some air advantage. So that spin move feels like a less good variant of the spin kick move. It might do a little bit more damage, but it felt like a redundant move. But man, that spinning cyclone kick, that's a really good one. The finishers, that's awesome. The counter attacks, like if you get hit and you hit A and hit it again, like, hey, you know what? Those are all pretty good. Honestly, this game's combat is pretty good. It's not outstanding, it's not gonna beat Devil May Cry, but it is a pretty good crazy combo action game, and I really like that. It's crazy combo enough. It's also been a hot minute since I've talked about cyberspace stages, so maybe I should. The music in them is bitching. There's outstanding tunes in them. The level tropes graphically look nice. Now, level design though, that's a bit more interesting. See, though these pull from Sonic's past levels because being original is just so damn hard nowadays, the ones you do get aren't just from boost games. You eventually get ones from the Sonic Adventure games, among a few I don't really recognize. I can assure you they're not original, I just don't remember where they're from. There's no way they made original stages. Look, I'm not double checking that. I'm gonna leave this in the script, you're gonna make a comment calling me an idiot, we'll move on. Point being is that Sonic controls well in these stages despite the completely different level design from other games. It does make me hope that they go back to a more adventure-style direction in the future, but time will tell if they want to go back to disappointing us. I mean, you used to not have to hold a button to go faster in Sonic games. You could just hold forward, and Sonic ran fast. Isn't that crazy? Wow. So even as you're running around, you'll basically... Wait. Hit X here. Huh, that was mildly scaring. Ghosts scared me the first time I figured it out, but every ghost has some kind of platforming challenge to reach it, making it a very unique fight. However, as you fight it, it drains your rings, so you have a time limit to get it. Actually fighting it, however, is just as simple as a Psy-loop. Though the actual fighting isn't that strong, it's nice to see some platforming challenges as the challenge over combat. I'm just upset that you had to find it and activate them. I get why, because if this was activated when Sonic was near it, it would just drain your rings as you retreat, but there could have been a much smarter thing to do, like to just kind of have it like floating around, and then if you actually stay close by, it actually switches its state machine to start draining rings or whatever. That's at least an idea. So when you're moving around, what may happen is... So when you get close to this little fella, it sucks you in close by and you have to do a little rail grind section, kinda like Strider. However, you're smacking balls of light at it and doing some jumps to grab balls too. After you've grabbed enough balls, Caterpillar starts roaming around and fires balls at you, and you can't deflect them as simply as before. During this phase, you can avoid its balls and smack its back to beat it. Wait! That's a ladybug! That ain't a caterpillar, that shit isn't even hungry looking! So you're not the most— Oh! Fuck off! Let me talk about this part! Whatever. So this tower is crazy! If you hit its base, it explodes! Then you gotta hit its head and... It's the same as the others. Towers are not the strong point. So, I've explored almost all of Orenos Island, but I have to unlock something with Sage. Fine, whatever. So I get her hearts and unlock it. So there are hacking minigames you do that play like Ikaruga. They're kind of fun. You have to do 2 of them here on Orenos, and 1 I didn't mention on Chaos Island. Anyway, when the path is unlocked, you don't have to talk to Sage at all until you want to get the last emerald. So it all goes back to free roaming, and everything else with her is optional. You get to hear why Sage trapped Sonic's friends and why he was able to escape cyberspace, how she feels about Eggman, calling him father on occasion, which is cute. Also, I gotta mention it now, while some of the cutscenes have interesting animations, almost all of them involve just standing and talking like an idiot picking your ass. It's kinda boring just seeing characters just stand and talk, but the actual cutscenes with unique animations do look really well done. I just wish there were more of them. Some other things to point out too is that Sage's memory token requirements are very, very high. Like extremely high. They really are very high to get. And you can just fish for them and get them, and yeah, the fishing's awesome. It takes like 5 minutes and you get them all. You don't have to look around and do a bunch of shit. It's like, oh, this is convenient. Having these options to do this is really nice. It really is. Oh yeah, a fun fact about Sage is in Japanese, she's voiced by Megumi Hayashibara. She's one of my favorite Japanese voice actresses, and people said she sounds like Rei from Evangelion. I didn't watch that shit, but I know she voiced some great characters I like her, and especially her. So maxing out stats in this game sucks. Remember how I complained way earlier about how the Elder Coco takes his sweet-ass time leveling up? It's because he does. As well, it doesn't seem to help I don't have much of a reason to level up rings. Starting with 400 rings as your max is pretty generous and gives you a decent amount of rings for you to lose. It's also quicker to unlock the awesome boost feature when Sonic goes at max speed. Something I should have mentioned earlier. Oopsies. Anyone in the comments that said I forgot to mention that, make sure you be very nice, timestamp this part, and then call them retarded. Plus, you can just get rings by just spinning around in a psi loop, which is also a reason not to level up your ring gauge because it makes it quicker to do that. Also, Sonic can do a drop dash if you tap jump 3 times and hold it. He can also light dash to follow a trail of rings, and there are also loading mini games where you can test out moves or learn combos. Boy, those sure were things I didn't say earlier either. How weird. What a weird thing that is. And if anyone in the comments said I didn't mention that, also timestamp this part, and then call them retarded. Yeah, I don't know why I just withheld that information for now, but hey, you know what? Better late than never, right? So, Eggman says you're too slow and finds the last Chaos Emerald for Sonic. He goes super and fights Supreme. Supreme is much like a more refined version of Giganto, where you have to parry him several times and parry several shots back at him. He does not miss with being called Supreme, and he is a very fun fight, and has a lot of attacks that I gotta dodge hard. I love when you go from parrying all the missiles at once to parrying 2 at a time and timing it just right. Ooh, does it feel good? Though his special attack animations being the same as Giganto does make me a bit upset. No original attack for you, Supreme. Oh well. However, after the fight, Sonic actually doesn't finish it off. But why? After beating Supreme, it starts to leak. The leak is the true final boss. The end. Alright, you know what? That's kind of clever. The Ancient sealed the end in Supreme, and the end was released from Supreme right after the fight. So, it was getting its true form, which is just the moon. Sage takes control of Supreme, and her and Supersonic go into space to fight it. Oh, so the end's fight is the Ikaruga hacking game again. Well, yeah, it's honestly pretty fun here, just like those hacking games. Oh, hey, fun fact. This is only what happens on the hard difficulty. So, yeah, I'm a real gamer. I was playing this on hard the whole time. I bet you never noticed. The end tries to discourage you by saying loser doomer shit like, "Muhahaha, I am super ultra evil and I will kick puppies and rape babies." Like, shut the fuck up. I don't care if you're a politician. I'm gonna kill your ass. In Sonic Frontiers. In Sonic Frontiers. Just, okay? Okay. The fight does go on for quite a while until you get this gigantically climactic finale. So, Supersonic plunges in through the end with some QTEs. But it's not enough. Sage decides she has to finish it off, and does so by dying. Aw. Actually, that does kind of feel bad. That does sting a bit. Please. She begs Sonic to look after her father. Supersonic flies back to the Starfall Islands and sees Amy, Knuckles, and Tails out of cyberspace, celebrating, while Eggman waits for Sage, only to get extremely upset, clenching his fist in anger. Oh, that scene hurts. That scene does actually hurt. Sonic's gang celebrates by retreating from the Starfall Islands and everyone ready to go on their own adventures. Oh, also Styx from Sonic Boom is canon to Sonic's World now? Good! Also in a mid-credits cutscene, it seems like Eggman actually did recover some of Sage's data, so there might be a chance we get to see her again. Okay, that's it. The game's done. I'm done. I'm done. Fucking... Oh boy, that's a wrap. I can't wait to fucking... Oh wait, no, that's right. I still got to do a conclusion. So, that was Sonic Frontiers. It should be pretty obvious that I do like this game, with the exception of Chaos Island's design philosophy. The music is fire, the graphics are nice, the game controls well, and it has good pacing. And it makes me smile a lot more than groan or frown. I can safely recommend this game, especially with how much time I've put into this. Holy shit, what an investment this was. But at least 80% of it was really good. The biggest issue besides Chaos Island is that it's not as good as Dynamite Cop. So besides that, you'll get what you want. If you feel sold on it, then getting it at full price shouldn't disappoint you. But if cautious, wait for a sale. I can understand some of the decisiveness with this game, but since I'm more powerful, my opinion is better, so nah. Perhaps you would maybe rather see some more action platforming to sink your teeth into. Then I can recommend my game, Necrolepsy. Only $5 with a link to it in the description. Even has some momentum physics stuff too. Perhaps maybe you want to keep it 3D. If that's the case, Draco Blood is my next title, an action RPG that does have many momentum physics things in it as well, which you can also check out on Patreon, even with a small proof of concept demo to boot. So yeah, it's been a long time since I did a review, and I'm glad to see I got this done. But, maybe in the future I'll do something much shorter. Yeah, something shorter next time. And that's right, next time. So I can't wait to see you all again. Alright, it sounds like I can do a pretty good job with this. I think I should be okay.